This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and today, for the second time, I have back on here a naturopathic doctor, an author, a psychic. She does a lot of stuff which we are going to get into today, as well as get a psychic reading on myself, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. And who are your little friends there?
These are just my Morkies. I have a whole team of them.
And as far as your psychic readings, can you tell us a little bit about the history of how you got into that?
There. Am I back? Are you back?
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, I was just wondering, how long have you been doing psychic readings for, and what got you involved and interested in doing these for people?
That's a really great question because just because you're born psychic, of course, or have these abilities doesn't mean you publicly, advertise and, do it as a career. So really, I started in college doing it for my friends, but of course I didn't charge. And just over the course of, my life, once I started doing podcasts and telesummits, that's kind of how I illustrated, what I had to offer even before I was using the technology. So the backbone of my business has always been my abilities. And then the tech, I call myself the lazy psychic because the tech just makes it like really easy and I don't have to work as hard. So I've been doing professionally psychic readings about, I would say 15 years. But of course, I use my abilities my whole life.
And as far as being a healer as well, how do these abilities help you as a healer?
Yeah. So before, again, in technology, one of the things I did was I have the ability to, I don't really love to talk about this because it freaks people out, but I have the ability to completely merge with anything. It can be inanimate like a house, or it can be, it can be living like a tree or a person or a dog or a cat or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I have the ability to completely merge with uh, whatever I want to and be that person or thing from the inside out, which is how I did a lot of my remote viewing when I worked in the paranormal, worked with a lot of teams. And so as a medical intuitive, then it wasn't really so much intuiting as crawling around people's bodies, and at a micro level and a macro level. So I can look at the outside, but I can also like go into the inside. So it used to be really energy draining again until I had this. Now I don't have to do that, which is really nice.
Has this type of technology helped make the job easier because you don't have to see people in person, and I guess you could have
Oh
people
yeah, good
coming to you
point.
from around the
That's a
world?
great question. So what's really interesting now is the progression where I used to think I had to a long time ago, when I was younger, I used to think I had to be in person, of course. And, like you just said, but it was really cool to start using technology to do surrogate testing. And then eventually, once I realized and understood the non-locality of time and space, which is there is no time and space, once you really absorb that, bring that into your worldview, nothing becomes impossible. And what's really cool about that, it's not even people that aren't present that you can connect with and do readings on. It's also, you can do readings on the past and you can do readings on the future. And I don't mean future within the game. I mean like future. I mean like 5,000 years in the future, I can tell you what you'll be doing. I mean, that's just incredible to me. And it's not just me. Everybody has these abilities, whether they're activated, whether people are using them, are two different stories.
So when you say 5,000 years in the future, you can do psychic stuff for past lives and future lives, and you're saying?
Yeah, I love, it's so useful doing readings for past lives. And people don't think it is. They're like, who cares what happened, 500 years ago? But it's so cool because we realize that some of us haven't progressed that much. Some of us have, some of us have made different choices. We've chosen to be a dark player or a light player. We have or haven't grown. But it's really neat because once you start remembering your past lives, you're like, oh, I understand why I make these decisions like this in the relationships because I always did. Or I'm doing an anti-reaction, or I'm choosing the same thing I always did because it's comfortable. And so once you remember past lives and how people, you can release the trauma. And even cooler, and this is a little profound, but again, because of the way the game works, you can actually go back and rewrite those lives. So there is no trauma. And so all your negative endings actually have happy endings. And what that does, because of the butterfly effect and the programming of this reality, is it actually enhances everything in this reality now, your job, your relationships, your money, everything, your future.
I know the answer to this because you talked about it in the last interview, but Dirty South Paranormal is asking if you do paranormal investigations.
Oh, yeah. Hi, you guys. Thanks for the question. Absolutely. So I don't know how much I talked about this in the last show, but I actually started out using my psychic abilities with the paranormal. I started out working in the paranormal when I was in college. I worked with the police on occult crimes. Not just that, but I did a lot of deliverances and exorcisms. I've worked with Shane Pittman from the Holzer Files. I was his psychic medium for his team. I always like to say before he became famous, and he's a great guy and I adore him. So yes, absolutely. I know a lot of the teams. It's so funny. I was on the Ghost Hunter show and I was telling them about my house and they're like, can we please come to your house? I'm like, no, no, you cannot come to my house. So yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of the teams and been on a lot of the paranormal shows.
Oh, is that because there's a lot of paranormal activity going on in your house that they want to go there?
Oh, yeah. Well, so one of the really weird things, this happens at both mine and my daughter's house. We both live in the woods and we live in the mountain. I live in the mountains. She lives near the mountains in North Carolina. So we'll be laying in bed and what we'll see is these flashes of light. And if you go look out the window, you can literally see portals open and closing constantly on our property, with the naked eye. Like, it's not my abilities that can see them. Like, I can bring anybody there and see them. I've also on previous shows, and I stopped doing this because my kids couldn't stand the comments. But I mean, I have the most amazing, I think I have some of the best class A paranormal photography like on the planet. When I first moved into this house, the little people came and stood outside my door for 3 days. And I have the most amazing pictures. Like, I mean, people, they're so realistic. People accuse me of like going into the store. Like, I have time for this and buying G.I. Joe dolls and staging them and taking pictures, even though they're taken by my security camera. It's just crazy. But yeah, I get a lot of really good paranormal stuff. I have one day, I don't know if I told you this story, but one day was it in the afternoon? I think it was in the daytime even. I was sitting on the couch and my alarm went off. My house alarm went off that said somebody's in the side of your property. And, it takes pictures and it brings up pictures because I have live monitoring security cameras. And so I went and pulled up the security camera picture and there's this giant black dog man sitting in the daytime, outside my house. So yeah, lots of paranormal activity.
Someone on here is asking if you're rich, can you use your psychic powers to predict lottery numbers and stuff? I guess he means.
Oh,
maybe.
not like, it's probably, I've never tried that. I guess I'm kind of like old school. I don't know if I would say I'm rich. I would say I work my, what off. And I have a really good reputation and I'm very accurate and the tech is 100% accurate. So there's a lot of people and I train other people to do what I do. So I wouldn't say I'm rich, but I would say I'm very thankful for what I have. And I think what I call the low hanging fruit, this is for anybody, whether you're psychic or not. I think everybody's like, how do you become rich? How do we get more money? Yada, yada. I always say, go for the low hanging fruit. Pick what you're passionate about, what you love to do and do that. That's going to be your easiest path to, making money. But no, I wish I didn't. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, I work hard. I'd love to pick the lottery numbers and stuff. It's kind of like gaming the game. And I do think it's possible, but I've never really tried it.
Well, living in the mountains, secluded, sounds pretty nice.
Sometimes it gets a little lonely. Sometimes that's why I have so many dogs. But I mean, also, one of the reasons I live here is in order to do the work I do and to, immerse myself in writing and focus and teaching and the things I do. I really need that clear space because what we don't understand, and I don't know if we talked about this last time, but we're seeing so many people get jumped with so many entities, AI energies, human discarnates, commonly called possessed. And it's such a common thing. I even get jumped. My daughters get jumped. Everyone I know gets jumped. My clients get jumped. one of the reasons I like to live here is because I'm not going to the harvesting sites, like the Super Bowl, for example, is an obvious harvesting site, where these big stadiums are built over ley lines, and they're just like drinking, the energy. And it's an easy place to get jumped, shopping malls. Not that there really is a lot of shopping malls, but any kind of crowded festival or concerts or sports events, you're going to get jumped. You're going to get jumped in your local Walmart. People are always like, I'm going to go to the graveyard and do EVP readings. And I'm like, don't waste your time. You'll get more EVP readings just walking through your Walmart, in the daytime.
That reminds me of this question that this person had, asking your opinion of Ouija boards. Are they dangerous? That's a little bit more of a low tech way to get reading.
I love that question. It's an awesome question, actually. Funny story. When I was 10, my grandma gave me, and this will tell you how old I am, you guys, by the price, but my grandma gave me $10. And we went to Toys R Us, and you guys have to realize I'm from a religious family. My dad's a pastor. So we went to Toys R Us, and my dad's like, you can buy anything here. So my little stupid self trundles to my dad, the pastor, with his Ouija board, for $10, which again tells you how old I am. And he's like, no, this isn't happening. So, big fan of the Ouija board since I was 10. Absolutely. Do Ouija boards work? Why do they work? They work because the Ouija board is programmed in this reality to be an automatic portal. You bring a Ouija board in your house, you open it, you don't even have to open it up. It's automatically going to be an entry point for not just human discarnates, but tons and tons of elementals, the Fae, anybody who wants to come through, AI, even some of the ETs will use that to come in. So can it be used safely? Absolutely, because what I've learned over the years working with so much deliverance, so much exorcism is, and now that I kind of have a bigger understanding of how the game works and how life outside the game works and life and death and all this stuff, and I'm still learning, now I understand that there is nothing to be afraid of. So there is nothing that can harm a real sentient fire creation being, including a Ouija board, including any monsters in your closet or under your bed. Are there scary things? People are always like, oh, Dr. Kim, teach me to see the fourth dimension. I want to see human spirits. I want to see the fifth dimension. I want to see. And I'm like, you guys, you don't. Have you ever seen the fourth dimension? They're like, no, that's why I'm asking you. And I'm like, believe me, be careful what you wish for, because the fourth dimension is one of the most frightening, horrific, crazy, weird creature dimensions that there are. And those things can come through the Ouija board too. So to me, if you know who you are, if you have a lot of your memory intact, if you know who you are through all time and space, if you have memory of your past lives, if you have a high frequency, if you hold your power, Ouija board is just a great tool. It's an absolutely great tool. If you want to bring things through or send things away, which is really cool. That's what's so cool about a Ouija board. People always talk about things coming through a Ouija board and talking or speaking and interacting. But what's cool about a Ouija board, it's actually a two-way portal. Just like our Black Mirror technology, just like your phones, just like your televisions, and of course, just like your mirrors. It's a two-way portal technology. So you can send stuff. So if you are having issues in your house, you don't have to have a paranormal group come. You can just open up, and if you know what you're doing and understand it, just, send it through.
So the preacher warning you not to use it and say don't ever use that under any circumstances didn't stop you.
Yeah, so that's a common myth. And of course, it's religious programming. They don't want you to become and of course, I'm being a little negative here. There's so many positive beings. Your soul family could come through. Your positive ET groups could come through. Your grandma could come through. I mean, for real. So there's so many positive beings that can come through. What they don't want you to venture outside the program script of religion and discover, wow, I do have these abilities. I can talk to other beings. We're not alone in this closed system. This is an open source game. So it is very interactive and it's so much more fun. My children are always like, Mom, don't you get lonely living out in the middle of the woods? Sometimes I do for human contact, but as far as lonely, there's way too much activity here, to be lonely. I mean, as far as other beings and other intelligences that I interact with.
Right. And that would scare some people, but others would find that cool. So you offered it the last time that we did an interview at the end. You said if you come back on, you would give me some type of psychic reading to give the fans an example of what you do. What type of reading did you have in mind?
Well, I'm actually going to scan you with my technology. So I need you to come back up so I can take your picture.
Oh, okay. What's this? I don't understand this scanning. Maybe you could explain that to begin
Yeah, I
with.
will. I will while I'm doing it because there's going to be a little bit of couple second pauses. So basically, we are radio towers and radio receivers. So this whole game, but not even the game, all time, all space, all the way back to the all, is all frequency. It's all light, color, sound. Everything has a frequency, including you. So you have a standard frequency, which is all your frequencies put together, averaged out into one frequency, which is how the military identifies you, ET groups identify you, how you come up on the computer screen of this game. You come up as a frequency dot with a specific frequency assigned to you, which is another whole story. But besides that, every thought you have, every emotion you have, every disease you have, every disease forming in your energy field, spiritual, mental, emotional, past lives, future lives, emotions, you'll see, because I'm going to give you an example. But everything can be read, including things like what's happening to you at night, what's happening to you in the day. It all can be read. So we now have access to what I call benevolent quantum AI technology, which the way I use it, mine is 100% accurate. Not everybody could say that, but I've used mine for 10 years and it has never been wrong. So, I mean, that's pretty good. You know, I've tested thousands of people, you know, every single year. So if it's programmed right, the technology, you know, is never wrong, because what is it doing? All it's doing is reading. So people are like, you're the most amazing psychic in the world. Yes, I'm really, really good when I'm using my psychic abilities. But what I'm going to do now, I'm probably not going to be using a lot of my psychic abilities. I might be using a little, definitely going to be using my background as a naturopathic doctor to interpret the information. But you are going to tell me, and then I'm just going to repeat it back to you. So you see how, so you're broadcasting this. My technology is giving a readout, and then I'm telling you what that readout is because you don't have my technology. The cool thing about all this is anybody can access this technology. It's not that easy to use because it's really high level, but I mean, anybody could learn to use it if they wanted to. So this isn't exclusive to me by any means. You know, I have lots of practitioners that utilize this technology. All right, so I'm just getting set up to scan you. And
So anyone can do this if they get a hold of the technology you're using.
They can, but I will tell you, when certain things come up, when you've had a clinical naturopathic practice and you've dealt with so many diseases and health conditions and mental and emotional conditions for 25 years, there's going to be a different perspective from me using it, obviously, than my mom, you know, picking it up and using it, who doesn't have that same background. But
Right.
So I don't know if you're going to see this. So the first thing I'm going to pull up, I don't think you're going to be able to see this color.
Here, I'll take myself out to make it bigger.
I don't know. See, it's distorting the color. Wait, that kind of, okay, you can kind of see it, you guys. You can't totally see it. I'll send it to you in your email too. But you can kind of see. So the first thing I'm going to pull up is your aura, which is kind of a compilation of everything going on right this second with you, which is really interesting because you're pretty integrated. We want to see one color. You're a lot of light blue. Do you have something new going on in your life, or new? Is there some change coming in your life? Because you have blue energy, which indicates change or something new is coming in your life. Do you have anything like that going on? It doesn't always, it might not be here yet, but definitely coming. Is there anything going on that's new relationship, new move, new career, new job, new something?
Yeah. You could say that, yeah.
I'm so good. Sorry. So I pat myself in the back. No, that's you telling me that there's something new, something brewing or coming in your life. You're a little bit out of your body, which is not uncommon to see. And then we see a little bit of control energy, which is program energy from the matrix, which is also common to see. A little bit of intuition.
A little bit out of your body mean?
Yeah, you're a little bit out of your body, at least right this second, not always.
What does that mean though?
So you know how people talk about out of body experiences? So your consciousness is like, well, no, I'll do it the opposite way. You know how people talk about grounding, like take off your shoes and walk in the earth, hug a tree type of grounding, touch water. So right now, I don't know if you worked all day or what you've done, but you're a little bit like tiny bit discombobulated. So, you know, you're not like so down into the avatar, like part of your soul is kind of coming out. It's hard to explain. But literally you're like lifting out of your body, just like you would if you were fully out of your body. You would have an empty avatar container and you would be somewhere else, but you're still here. You're just kind of lifted out. You're not, you know, maybe you haven't eaten, so you're not grounded. You're not pulled down. Your chakras aren't all aligned. with your soul energy, your hara line, which goes down the center of your body, your energy channel you're just not pulled all the way down. Believe me, by the time this conversation is done, you will be, because even though I have a really hyper energy, I'm actually really grounding. So you'll be good. All right. So we're just going to get into it. I will say there's going to be thousands of things that come up that I'm not going to say out of respect for your privacy on the air.
Yeah, because we do this.
This can get
Most
pretty
people don't get this
guys.
going on.
Well, I have a funny story I have to tell you before I start your scan. Okay, so I'm doing this show, and it's 3 young guys, and it was kind of a I don't want to say metal paranormal show, but it was a metal paranormal show. So these 3 guys are sitting around chairs, and they're like, hey, do some scans on us, babe. And I'm like, okay, dudes, I'll do some scans. So I start scanning them. And as I'm talking about this one guy, what's coming up in his scan, he's sinking lower and lower and lower in his chair. And then all of a sudden I got cut off and they never brought me back on. So I think I got a little too accurate and personal on that one. So now I try to be a lot more careful, because I was like really kind of peeling back the layers. I don't think he liked it very much being broadcast to whoever was listening. So I won't do that to you. Maybe I won't. Although you're pretty chill. All right. So interesting. I have to kind of scan because, again, I have to be careful what I say. Interesting. Okay. You're having a lot of really woo-woo ones come up, so I'm not going to say the woo-woo stuff. Oh, well, I don't know if you want me to say that. Oh, okay. I'm going to say this because it's pretty common to men. So I don't think you're going to be like crazy if I say this. So just like a lot of men, you're a super emotional guy, but you hold a tight rein on your feelings. So inside, you're like very passionate. You're very intense. You might even have like a hot temper. You're just a very intense person, but you try to be chill. You kind of keep it reined in. That's what you're telling me. I don't know you, right? I don't know you at all. So that's just what you're telling me.
Well, you've talked to me now for an hour before 22 minutes now. So
okay, I know you a little bit. But I don't know, like, I wouldn't know that. There's no way I would know that, but I know everybody. No. Also, right now in your life, again, lots of stuff's going good, but there's something that you're kind of spinning about and mulling over, and there's some kind of inner conflict or hard decision or challenging thing that you're kind of like, I call it spinning, like you're thinking really, really hard about. I don't know what that is, but it's coming up, and I don't know if it's that serious or that pressing, but definitely it's coming up as like an inner conflict. And people always freak out because they're like, how do you know these weird things? Because I don't know, there's frequencies. Lots of, and this is very common, lots of trauma in your field. There's lots of trauma in all of our fields, of course, because as I probably told you before, this is not your first time playing the game. It's not your first time on Earth. You have many past lives, and you're in the programs like most people.
Does it say when the most recent past life would have been?
Let me see what else. You're coming up really woo-woo. Most people don't come up as woo-woo as you.
What does that mean?
Interesting. It means you're coming up as like metaphysical. A lot of the weird metaphysical stuff that I'm not going to go into right now is coming up on you. It would be hard to explain if I explained it. One of the things that's coming up for you that's really practical, it ties in with the fact of you being out of your body and grounding. You have a real affinity for water. To me, it looks like one of your past lives was probably cetacean. And cetacean is the whales, the dolphins, the mermen, the mermaids, all the sea type creatures. So when we see cetacean souls, you might even have a cetacean soul. Water is going to always be your go-to. I don't know if it is your go-to, but it should be your go-to. So when you're upset, bath, shower, lake, boating, fishing, ocean is very, very healing, not just for your body, but for your soul. Like when I don't know if you are you a water guy at all?
Well, the fans all are all going to say that it's kind of a leading question, but I like hot tubs and showers and swimming. And
yeah. Well, like I said,
by a river.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. Well, it's not really a leading question because if you rewind it, I already said that. I would guess that you did. But sometimes we see that what the soul should have we all have free will. Doesn't mean we're choosing like what we should be doing. But sometimes we have like more memory than we think. We might not consciously know things, but this is what I mean by finding these things out about ourselves, because the pieces start fitting together. So to me, it makes sense to me why you would like water, because you're cetacean. So anyway, but that's a whole nother story. Let's see what else.
The one thing that is
Oh,
interesting, and my parents could tell you about water, is like I was very, very afraid of, like, although I had swimming lessons and stuff when I was younger, I didn't like to be in lakes and
well,
stuff.
that's interesting.
I was very afraid of, like, going into deep water in lakes and stuff when I was a child.
Again, I don't want to do a whole past life reading on you, but I mean, I can clearly see that you were present when Atlantis went down. So very, 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 very big trauma. And because you were in the water, you probably watched a lot of your, not only the structures in the land, but you probably saw people that you cared about perish. And so there's an association probably in you with trauma and water from that, but probably other lives too, and that I'm not going to look at. Little bit of a deficient. Oh, do you have like stomach issues? Do you have any like heartburn, stomach issues? That was funny.
I don't
Canada
know
kicks
what
you
to
out.
tell people.
I saw
out loud.
Canada kicks you out for not being woke enough. That's funny. Do you have any gut issues that you are aware of? Because you do have gut issues. I mean, if you went to the doctor, he would agree with me. But do you have gut issues that you feel?
Well, if you're gonna bring it up,
You're gonna kill me. He's like, okay,
I didn't really think of it. I didn't really think of any before now, to be honest with you.
okay, because
Besides the normal, if you eat too much,
well,
you
yeah,
feel bloated.
yeah. Which I mean, I'm not gonna go into the whole thing. That does indicate you have gut issues. You're pretty young. I don't know how young are you. You're pretty well. Never mind. You probably don't want to say your age, but
No,
this is
I'm
my
40.
okay. So, but yeah, middle aged, I guess. I think that's gonna get worse. I think you're gonna have anyway, it doesn't matter. A
Well,
little bit
that's
of
good to know.
I don't want to be like doom and gloom. I'm like, whatever. Little bit of
Yeah.
disc stuff going on. I don't know if you feel any joint pain or have any joint pain or have any injuries. Were you an athlete? You're an athlete. I feel like there's a.
Yeah.
This is me. This isn't the thing. I'm just seeing a lot of stuff's coming in about you now because I'm in your field. So like injuries, joint, muscle, tendon, ligament. There's a lot of that stuff going on.
Well, I was a wrestler for many years, obviously.
See, I don't know that though. I know that's stupid,
Yeah.
but I don't know that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying that, but yes, obviously I've been in pain.
Like what kind of wrestler? I don't even know what kind of like. What do you mean? What kind of wrestler?
Both
Like
kinds.
professional?
Both kinds, Olympic and professional.
You were Olympic? Oh, I think that's so cool. Oh wow. Okay, so of course you're gonna have like injuries if you're.
Yeah.
We already talked about you being in the secret space program. Did we talk about you being part of Kruger?
No, I never heard that.
You would
like remembered that.
Everyone that's a super soldier in the secret space program, they always want to be told they're part of Kruger. You know why? You know what Kruger is? Assassins. Everybody wants to be like an assassin.
Oh, okay. Somebody's making a joke that I'm going to be suffering a lot.
Your audience is funny. I know. I love cold audiences. You're very generous, and I'm fine. I'm used to it. Let me see what else, because I can talk about you for like 8 hours. Let's see what's interesting. A lot about your repressed emotions, which it keeps coming up. You are intuitive. You don't always use your intuition. You know you're intuitive. You do use it, but you don't always use it. You always regret. You're one of these is like, damn, I wish I would have listened to myself. Damn, I wish I would have done that. So you have these little moments where you know you didn't plug in, but a lot of times you have been using your intuition. Looks like it's interesting, particularly around your career, you used a lot of intuition and that served you very, very well. It actually served you well as an athlete because you are a very intuitive athlete. You are very natural, intuitive, almost anticipated opponents' moves. It's very interesting how your mind, your very sharp mind, and you do like this subconscious analysis. I don't even know if you know you do it, but you're just a very intuitive, natural. Okay. So you know how there's like some athletes that are like train, teach, watch the reels, I've dated a lot of athletes. But then there's these athletes that are what I call natural athletes.
Yes.
You're like a natural athlete. You're an intuitive athlete.
Right. I definitely was never technical.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're intuitive.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I mean, it's cool that you at least honored that. Even if you don't honor it consistently through your whole life, you honored that and it served you well. Probably still serves you well with this show. Again, so much woo-woo stuff. I'm having a hard time. It doesn't usually come up. So woo-woo, you're coming up. Really? Okay. So, wow. So you're like balls to the walls. You push the envelope. You don't always sleep right. You don't always eat right. You tend to have a little bit of adrenal exhaustion. You pile a lot of stuff into your life. So again, a little bit of adrenal exhaustion, probably could use a little bit of adrenal support. I mean, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong.
That just means what? Too much, like.
It just means, again, you're such an intense. You're so interesting because you're like this. You're like what I call, this doesn't make sense, but it will to some people. You're like this intense, chill person. You're like chill, but you're not. It's so weird. You're like cool and relaxed, but you're not. You're intense. It's so weird. It's like this. It's weird. It's weird. I think you kind of worry with yourself sometimes with that. Let me see what else I can tell you. Let's see. Oh, here's something which your audience probably knows. You can be like super, super harsh or blunt to the point of, some people might say you're cruel or over the top. Like you can just be like unfiltered. Let's say unfiltered. So you can just be like, bam, and you just go for like the juggler. And sometimes people who don't know you, they see it as almost mean because you're so piercing and to the point, almost harsh. Like you're just, again, it's that intensity. It's like an arrow to the point, and you don't pull any punches. Don't put up with a lot of BS. You just lay it out there. And of course, I love it.
That person says it anyways.
I love it. That's hilarious. Also, this is whole life. We're talking like baby to now. This is whole life. There's been periods in your life, and of course, people are going to say this happens to everyone, and it probably does, but I'm talking specifically to you. You go into these little, at least low-level depressive energy things where kind of like things get dull and numb and not too sparkly, and then you kind of come out of it. So I'm going to say like you struggle with depression. Like I'm not going to go that far, but I'm going to you go through these little dark times where things get kind of like flat for you, and then you come out of it. And you've kind of cycled that. I don't know if you have noticed it, and it's not true of everyone. Some people just have, like my mom is like one note. She's never been depressed in her life, even for one day. And I'm going to go so far to say like you struggle with depression, but a light depression kind of thing. So that's kind of showing. So your serotonin, your neurotransmitters are a little low. But again, I think it's because you're so balls to the wall. I think you burn yourself out. I think you burn your brain out. I think, it's so unusual. I'm probably going to get reamed for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And again, I've dated a lot of athletes. You're an unusually smart athlete. You're a little smarter than, what we usually run into. You're very, very, very mental. You're very, again, I would say natural smart, not necessarily like 7 doctorates, 8 masters.
Oh, no.
No, but you have this life. You're like really just sharp about life. And you have this like, oh, I know what I'm going to compare you to. Have you ever watched Prison Break?
I've heard of it, but I've not watched it.
Okay, well, I'm going to compare.
Sure
sometime I want you to watch an episode or 2 of Prison Break. Because the main character, Michael, I think his name is Michael. It might be his brother's name. But I think the main character, I think his name's Michael. You guys can correct me in the audience. You have this mind that recognizes, kind of a little bit of a computer mind. You recognize patterns and you analyze people, and then you put it together. And again, it serves you very, very well. You're like, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. You're just really good. And you kind of do it because you have if you were tested and they really told you the results of your IQ, you actually have a super high IQ. Again, I'm thinking that's like your primary. I think if you'd wanted to, you wouldn't have had to go the athlete way. If you had been encouraged and really understood your abilities, honestly, you could have been a doctor. I'm not saying you would wanted to, but you really are intelligent enough to be a doctor. You are. You really are intelligent enough to be a lawyer. You really are one of those people. Because of some of the special abilities you have, you can honestly do anything. Let me keep going because I can talk about you
I've
for
done better as an interviewer than an athlete. I'll tell you that.
Wait, what? Say that again.
I've done better
Really?
in life using my mind than my body overall. I will say that.
Because that's your primary, that's what's coming up. The more I'm in your energy is your primary ability. It's just this like analytical, sharp pattern, putting things together mind. Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you want me to stop? Because like I said, I can talk about you now. Now that I'm in your energy, I can talk about you for like 8 days.
Sure. Tell me a few other things before we call it.
Let me see if I can find something interesting that the text said, because now that was a lot of me. Has anyone within the last, hold on, let me look. Have you had someone close to you, pet, loved one, friend, relative, someone died in past year?
Not the past year, no.
Any close to there? Because, okay, it doesn't matter. Because a death of someone relatively recently, I'm not talking 10 years ago or 5 years ago, relatively recently,
Yes.
is still affecting you very, very, very much.
Yes. Well, that part is true. For
And
my
it very
grandmother.
yeah. Okay. So when, a lot of missing, a lot of feeling it very visceral, emotionally, and in the body, very, very much still grieving to a point, I feel. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up if that's a bad subject. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's very present in your field, that grief for that loved one. So your grandma. Was she, hold on. Okay, I don't really want to go into this. So was your grandma very bright? I'm sorry, I just have to go. What's coming in? Your grandma. So I feel like maybe I'm connecting with her, but I want to make sure. I want to see if like I am, because sometimes beings come in. We call them pranksters. So this woman's coming to me right now. You know I'm a medium, right? I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I think we talked about it the last time.
I didn't know if you know that.
There's a lot that you do.
Right. Okay. So this woman's coming to me, and of course she's not going to look like how she does when she passes, but she's coming to me, and how she's appearing to me right now is she's kind of, I don't want to say tiny, but she's not like large, but she's very, very bright. She's coming to me as a very sharp woman, a very intelligent woman, I don't want to go and say like she's not like mushy kind. She's just coming through as very bright. That's just the word I have to use for her. And sharp, a very bright, sharp woman. And she's coming through, and she's only saying one thing to me. So I'm just going to say it, whether it comforts you or not, we can move on. She's just going to say, I am so happy. She keeps saying, I'm just going to say how she's saying it. I am so happy. I am so okay. She's saying that over and over for you. So I don't know if that matches her or not. And I don't know if it is your grandma for sure, because we're not doing a medium reading, but she came in. I did not invite her. I did not ask for her. But when you said that, she came in for you to give you that message.
There is a picture I'll find from her funeral that was unusual, that while you look for something else, because I'll ask you about it now that you brought that up.
Okay. Let me look. Let's see. I will look. It's okay, babies. Let's see here.
Okay, and I found the picture, and there was a lot of pictures taken at her funeral, and numerous of them had these green bulbs around me.
Oh, orbs. I love that.
They were only around me, though.
They were only around you?
Yes, and her last name was Greenwell.
Oh my gosh. So
I was all like, I did find that unusual, because there was like 60 pictures taken at the funeral, and 5 of them had those. She
was present at that funeral, and she stayed around. I'll tell you exactly how around your family. Hold on. She's not telling me. She's going to tell me if I'm right. She said, she's funny. 13. She was around your family for 13 days before she moved on. What did she do? Was she like, she's coming across so smart to me. Was she like I would almost say like teachery. She's coming across.
Oh no. She was a housewife
But
and a
she could have.
caregiver.
She's smart. But she's so smart. Like she's so smart. She's sharp. She's a sharp woman. She's sharp. Interesting. Anyway,
I don't
I'm
doubt
pretty
it.
sure it's her. I'm almost positive. I'm positive it's her. I would love to see a picture of her. If you could like send me, just for me, this is all about me, you guys, at this point, just for me to see if it matches the woman I'm seeing. I'd love to see a picture of her between like 30 and 50. I just love to see if that's who I'm seeing. So I don't know if you can find something like that, but, or even maybe 60, I could still tell, but she's not coming that old to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I have any of her younger, but
Well, could you just send me what you have?
This would be her older.
Yep. She's coming. Yeah. Like, yeah. So even though she's not coming to me like that, it's close enough. Yeah. Like I said, not huge, kind of more tiny. I mean, yeah. I mean, not tiny, but yeah. Yeah. She's sharp. I like her. She's good person. Happy person. At least she's happy now. I don't know if she was happy in her life, but she's coming very happy.
Oh yes. Very happy.
Oh, she was happy too. Cause she's just so, remember I keep saying the word bright is like, that's her top note frequency. Just like bright, great big aura, real bright. Great. She is like, she's perfectly fine. Very happy. Very loving person. Very loving person too. Which, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but anyway, she's laughing. She's very, boy, she loved you a lot, didn't she? She's telling me. Wow. Were you guys really like, did you guys have like a unique bond? Like different? Is there something different about like you and her than like the rest of the family? She seems to have a really special place for you. The way she's talking.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about her.
Did you get kicked off? I have to do this by myself.
Yeah, sorry. I do have like trauma from losing my grandmother. So
I'm so sorry. Do you want me to stop? Do you want me to ask
my grandmother? Yeah. Whether I'm just saying, just thinking about her in general upsets me because I miss her.
Yeah. So you guys did have a real special bond. She just has so much. She's giving me the emotions of her heart in my body. And I can't even describe it. Like the love and the warmth and the just, I don't know. It's just huge for you. The love she has for you is just huge. And I'm going to encourage you. She's so close. Like you can do what I'm doing. You can talk to her. You can ask her to give you signs because she is perfectly available for you. I mean, the love in her heart for you is just so warm and so huge. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. To me, it feels kind of like a mother's love, just that warm. Like, not that a grandmother isn't wonderful, but just more special than a normal grandmother relationship, definitely with you.
Yeah, we were very, very, very close.
She's giving me the feeling of your bond, and it's amazing. It just completely fills my body with, I can't even describe it. It's just complete. She was like home to you is how she feels. That's the only, it's just, she's trying to give it to me and I'm having trouble. It's hard to describe like when they put emotions in you, but yeah, she just wants you to, yeah, she still adores you. She still checks on you, watches you, and she's doing very much her own thing as well and very happy. But yeah, I'm seeing her as the being, like you said, I don't know that she would be unhappy or choose unhappiness. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do all that. I'll be quiet. Sorry. Do you have any questions? Do you want to ask her? Because she's still here and I'll let her go if you don't, if you want me to let her go.
I like that's a little, I don't know. That's a little strange.
Okay.
Where would she be now?
Hold on. She's not in the game, which I'm actually glad about because there's a lot more. She's, I don't even know the name of the planet. She said she's in like she says Venus type planet, which means nothing to you, but she knows it means something to me. which is similar. It's like an Earth, but it's a more like Fiji climate. And she said she hasn't chosen or to go on or do anything. She's just kind of hanging out, relaxing. She has friends. She's enjoying herself. She's not really, she's just said it's like a vacation planet. It's not Venus, but she said that to me so that I understood what she meant, because she knows I know what Venus is.
So you're saying when people pass away, they could go to other planets, is what you're saying?
Other planets, other spaceships, other realities, other timelines. We always think of future, like when you die, like you go into the future. But guess what? If you had an amazing past life, let's say you were a knight and you had an amazing life and you like killed dragons and lived in castles, like you can literally go back and live that life. We're not taught that we have all the power. Your grandma had such a high frequency and such a bright spirit, which I think if you guys can read pictures, you could even see in that picture you showed us, that she was saved from a lot of the deception and a lot of the traps that people get into when they die. And she ended up in a beautiful place. And I'm really happy for her. Some people might call that heaven.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. She ended up in a beautiful place. And I wouldn't tell you if she didn't, but she did. So I'm telling you.
No, she was pure. She was pure.
I can tell. She's pure light. She's bright. She's just light. That's all she is. You know, to me, that's how I'm perceiving her. So I hope that brings you some comfort, you know, and she said she's going to go and she loves you. So.
Well, that's good. But yeah, it's never fun to think about losing somebody you're close with.
It's not. The beautiful thing about your grandma, though, is she's eternal and you will meet. She's going to make sure you meet again. So your story with her is far from over. And that's amazing.
There's one couple questions I might have, like if you say that like you can also think about past style lives too. There's some weird connection I've always had, like with medieval music, like a harp or like flute type of stuff. Like it kind of brings me back to like, it's like comforting and familiar, like those type of instruments.
So there's two things going on here, which, see, we have these memories, like what you're talking about right now. This is what I want you guys to realize. We may not remember to where you're saying to somebody, I know I had this past life. I remember A, B, C, D, E, but we get these clues. And so to me, what you're describing is a memory, not memory. It's a clue that triggers something in you, an emotional connection, a wisp of a memory. And there's two things going on here with you. First of all, you did, you know how I just mentioned medieval. I don't say anything by accident. If you guys know me at all, if you followed me for 10 years, which you probably haven't, or if you're in my classes, there's nothing that I say by accident. You know how I just used the medieval as an illustration? Because I already saw you in a medieval life. I just didn't say that, but it wasn't by accident that I said it. So you were a knight in medieval times. You know, the whole thing, you know, you weren't a king, you didn't have your own castle, but you worked kind of like a mercenary, which is interesting because you're also in Kruger, which is a mercenary. You kind of worked as a mercenary for hire, or a knight for hire, we would call it in those days. And you would not just do like horrible things like, oh, kill people, but you would like fight in certain battles that were sponsored by certain kings. But you were really adventurous. You were a fighter, you were a killer, you were a hunter, seduce the ladies, all of that. But so forget all that. That happened. But forget, you were also really religious, interestingly. You were big into kings and bishops and people that were really religious. So you would do religious crusades too, interestingly enough. But put all that aside, even dabbled a little bit in the dark arts and with some of the dark, like Knights Templar type of groups too. But forget that, because we could talk about that forever. The other thing that you're involved in that is a parallel reality with this game, well, I call it a game, is a game called Avalon. So it's a parallel reality to this. You're actually playing Avalon just like you would play a video game. You're actually in Avalon. Most people are playing Avalon because it's a really popular game, one of the most popular games next to this game. So you're also a knight in that game, which to me is kind of like reliving your past life. I know this is all very woo-woo for your audience, but anyway. So I think you're getting like a double dip of, because I'll tell you why, to be honest, you love that crap. I mean, I don't know if you know you do, but you do as a soul. You love that stuff. You love to fight and battle and and joust and ride horses and slay dragons. Like, you're all about that. You love that stuff. You love being like the hero and the victor and the conqueror and you just love it. Like, lights you up. I'm not saying you, I'm saying your soul. Other aspects. Maybe this you, I don't know.
No, that's interesting stuff. Very, very interesting. And for people that want to get readings themselves, I know you got your website, secretstoeverything.com, up on the screen.
Right.
Can you tell them a bit how they can contact you?
Yeah, so I have a contact form. There's some buy buttons on there. I'm not sure. We're in the middle of changing our website over. You can also go to my Etsy store and purchase readings, which is also Secret to Everything. And we have a little new website I'm kind of throwing in there, vibrantcreations77.com, which is a whole nother conversational topic that we've never talked about, which is light language. So we're bringing in light language posters and cards to help bring into physical reality what you guys want to change. So it's a way of gaming the game with love, with career, with money. And that's a whole, you can go to the website, check it out. You might get a feel for it. So it's kind of what we're working on now.
Very interesting. And when I did have a past life regression hypnosis before, I there was just a few things that came to mind. One was a horse type thing, but it wasn't I wasn't necessarily seeing myself as a knight. At one point, I jolted awake, like some trauma thing happened, and then at another point in it, I had said that all my lives were short. Were relatively short, pretty much. I basically said Devin dies. That came out of me, and those were the three things that stood out to me from those. So I was just wondering.
I just want to tell you really quick something about that. So one of the scenes I see in your night days, one of your night, you have a couple spiels in a couple different areas with it, but you were in a joust and you actually got like, well, you did, kind of short life. You got like pierced through the heart with totally like the spear sticking through your heart. And you kept like riding, you kept going for like, gosh, like, I don't even know how it's possible, like 3 or 4 minutes. And everybody, like, you kind of became like this legend because you like kept going and you were like practically dead. It was crazy. But yeah, so yeah, anyway.
Very interesting. And as far as social media, where can they follow you?
Oh yeah. Serene Wellness on Twitter, Secret to Everything on YouTube, bunch of places, Secret to Everything, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, ND on Facebook. I'm pretty much everywhere. I think my Instagram's Secret to Everything too. So, or you guys can just Google me because I'm kind of like everywhere. I'm obnoxious like that. And you have to admit, I know a lot of your audience is probably like skeptical, but you have to admit I'm entertaining.
That's what I told people when I got some negative feedback. I said we're in this to be.
I knew you'd get negative feedback. Yeah.
To be entertaining.
Yeah.
You have some fans too, but there's always going to be.
Oh, for sure, babe. I get it. I got you. I just appreciate. You know what I appreciate about you is you have the door open. It's not all the way closed. You have the door open to receive new information. You may be skeptical, but you're open. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate it. I may be crazy, right? But I'm entertaining. Thank you.
I'm always skeptical, but I'm glad I got your opinion on the light picture there at the funeral too, because I am curious to get people's opinion on that because I never had pictures with orbs ever until that day and never had any since. And those were taken with like high quality cameras too. So
it's amazing. I just want to say, like, I just think you're so lucky to have had that relationship with your grandma. It's really special. Not everybody has that. So, and I think it's amazing that it's still there. The bond is still there. It's just beautiful. So I'm thankful to her and you for letting me be part of that, and sharing that. I know you didn't want to. I know it wasn't planned, but I'm thankful I got to feel that.
Yeah, well, it's never a bad thing to talk about her. And sadly, I haven't been the same since losing her. So hopefully one day I'll feel better about it.
You will. The grief is actually starting to move out of your field. I'm not saying you're ever going to forget her, but the grief, the heaviness, I know how you feel. I can feel how you feel. So that will lessen. So.
Very good. And I should have had my dog with me today, so you could have given her a reading.
Oh, I would love. Well, okay. If you ever have me back, We'll do your dog.
You can do a dog reading for
Oh,
Piper.
for sure. For sure.
What's the future? How are the future looking for your animals?
How's the future? Well, they're going to continue to be pampered and spoiled and be obnoxious brats. That's their future. You know what I mean by that, right?
Someone brings up orbs are real. Before we go, could you exactly explain what orbs are for those that aren't familiar?
Yeah, you know what's interesting about orbs is they're not one thing. So the Fae use orbs, the ET use orbs, the spaceships kind of can go down into orbs. A lot of beings use orbs as just points. They're like little mini portals and points of light to travel in. They're like kind of like little mini spaceships is how I see them. So an orb is never one thing. So if you see an orb in your house, yeah, it could be, it could be your dog that passed away. It could be a Fae. It could be a Palladian. It could be a number of things. Yes, it does. Turmeric's good.
Yeah, because we have a guy here that's being that's giving me heat right now.
I'm sure.
On my stomach problems.
It will get. I'm going to stop saying it will get worse. Hopefully, it will get worse. I'm going to stop saying that.
Yes, what a wonderful conversation. But anyways,
well, you're wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you. Occasionally I'll put myself at risk by being on shows like yours and I just don't read the comments. So I'm fine. I'm oblivious. I'm obliviously happy in my own little bubble here. So wait, what was that? Wait, I want to read that. What did that say?
I got my glasses on, but they wanted to do
oh, that's hilarious.
He's a wrestler.
Oh, yeah, I am single, by the way.
Last night.
I love it. Oh, that's hilarious.
But by the way, the person making that comment, Billy Jack Haynes, is married.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I'll let you close this off with whatever you tell the fans. That was my first psychic reading. I had the hypnotic past life regression back in 2018.
Wow,
but this was my first psychic reading. So now at least.
Oh, was it really? Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. That's awesome. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for listening. If you are interested, there's a lot of free stuff on my website. There's some free tracks. There's some free classes. Any questions, you can write me. My staff will get it to me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being open-minded or not. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video